Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about hydro. How to set up a hydro farm on your plot of land. Maybe you already have an air farm, you want to add some hydro to it. And we're going to be talking about the pros, the cons of hydro. We're going to compare it to this farm here. This is an air farm, 2.2 megawatt. We're going to compare it to this one. We do have another video on our channel you can watch where we go over a 1 megawatt hydro farm in New York. It's an air with a hydro combination. So you can watch that one and see how it runs and see if that's something that you'd be interested in. But again, today's video, we're just going to be talking about the pros and cons of setting up a hydro farm. So if you think that's interesting, you know what to do. Hit like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and go to cryptollc.org. If you want to build a farm, you want to host with us, we host at this farm, have a little bit left, but most of our hosting is now done in New York. You can host up to 5 megawatts there. So you can host with us at 7.5 cents all in. Or you can maybe build a farm. We offer that service as well. We help you build a farm, help you find a farm, build a farm, and so on. Or if you want to buy ASICs, we have the best prices. cryptollc.org. You want to buy some S19s, some S21s. You want to buy some Whatsminer or Cavalon mining. Whatever you're looking for, we have that available. And before we get started, Bitcoin saves your wealth and Jesus Christ saves your soul. All right, let's get started. So today's comparison, so we're talking about hydro and air. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I feel a little bit of rain dropping here. So if it does, I don't have to run in the container. But anyway, we're talking about the hydro. So again, if you guys want to watch our previous video here on our channel, it's a couple videos back before this one, you would see our hydro farm. And we also toured a big hydro farm down in Spokane, Washington. It's the hydro farm by Merkel Standard, and they have a lot of hydro containers there. So the difference between hydro and air is that hydro is not being run on or not being cooled by fans, right? It's just being cooled by water. So you can see these guys just have fans. Everything has a fan. The PCUs have fans, 3 of them. Your intake has 2 fans. Your exhaust has 2 fans. That's a lot of fans. And the difference between that and hydro is that hydro has a lot less fans, and they are way different. So hydro is not fanless. You do have fans. Those fans are just going to be on the dry cooler or on the wet cooler. And what happens with that is you have your hot water being circulated away from your miners, goes to a dry cooler or a wet cooler, and then it circulates through a heat exchange. So basically think of it like a radiator, right? It circulates through a radiator, and that radiator helps cool off that fluid, and then it runs back into your mining container, and it runs through a heat plate. So you have these heat plates on all of your hash boards, right? If anyone out there that ever ran water-cooled GPUs, is basically the same thing. It's kind of like a water-cooled GPU, except it's your ASICs. And so you have 3 of those water-cooled blocks on 3 of your hash boards, and then that heat is being transmission from the chips into the heat exchange, which then is transferred to the water, and then that water is transferred down into your cooling tower. All right, so the difference between wet and dry coolers is as such. For your dry cooler, you do not have any additional water cooling, meaning that it's a closed loop. You don't have any open loops. So you have a closed loop that goes from the mining container to your dry cooler. The dry cooler has that heat exchange radiator. It has fans on top that suck out the hot air and blow it away. Now sucking the hot air from the radiator. So kind of like a car radiator, you have a fan on the front of your car radiator that helps push air through that radiator from the outside. It helps cool off that radiator, which then circles back that same fluid from the radiator in through your car that cools off the engine, right? So kind of the same way as like a GPU, a cooling, water cooling, or a radiator on a car. Now, for wet tower runs the same way, except they added additional cooling through water. So you have water not only traveling through your closed loop, but you have water that is being dripped down or you can say dumped down onto your radiator, your pipes, all that stuff. So you have additional cooling that then is dropped or dumped onto those pipes, and that cools it off even more. So why would they do that? The reason they do that is because when the outside temperatures are, let's say 40, 50, right, Fahrenheit outside, you do not need that water, additional water being dumped onto your pipes. It's when your temperature goes to like 60, 70, 80, 90 Fahrenheit outside is when your dry cooler is not enough, and you need to add additional water to cool off your pipes and all that stuff, right? You have to have additional cooling. That's what they made it for. Now, one way to go around that is you do not get one closed loop container, right? You get two. So for every mining container, you have two dry towers. So that second dry tower will then double your radiator heat exchange, right? It'll double how fast you're cooling off your container. And if you do it that way, you do not need a wet tower. Two dry towers should be enough to cool off without a wet tower. So if you're thinking about, hey, I want to do hydro, but I don't want to pull city water, or maybe I don't want to start digging for wells, you know, I don't want to do that 6 gallons a minute, which is what they have for wet towers. When it's going to be 90 degrees, each 1 megawatt is going to consume 6 gallons a minute. So if you don't want to consume that much, and you don't want to pull water from the city, you don't want to put a well, what you do is just get 2 dry coolers for every 1 megawatt of power, and you should be fine. By the way, there's different versions of cooling. The one that's most current as of right now, which is the Bitmain HK3. So you want to get the HK3. It's the most updated one. It's the most efficient one, and all that. And by the way, we offer those for sale at Crypto LLC. We have great prices on those. The prices you see on Bitmain's website, those are prices that they give standard, you know, standard price for everyone. We have a great relationship with Bitmain and with other sellers out there, so we can get you brand new ones for cheaper than that, or even get you used ones for even cheaper. So keep that in mind. If you're looking to buy some, we have those available. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I want to build that at my farm, let's go, I want to go, contact us at Crypto LLC, and we can help you build that farm, right? We can help you set it up and get you all the materials, get you all the permits, get you all the certifications for the containers, get the containers shipped, installed, the transformer, you know, all of that can be done. We have done all of that for this farm here. You can see 2.2 megawatts. Started from scratch. We just had grass here, had nothing. Got the transformer, got the panels, the gear, all that stuff. Everything was done. Had the state electrical inspector come out here, had them inspect everything, and they were all satisfied with that. So this mining farm is in perfect condition here, and we could do something similar for you. Again, it's going to be either hydro or air, and today's video is about hydro, so just be talking about just that. But if you want to do that, we can help you set up your own farm. So yeah, another thing, the difference between hydro and air is if you are like in a hot environment, really, really hot environment, and you're planning to run your miners in full blast. So let's say you have a farm in Arizona, right? Like really hot, or South Texas. It's really hot out there. You have a farm out there, and you want to build a farm, or you have a farm, and you're thinking, hey, I want to go hydro because it's really noisy. The fans are always at 100% fan speed because it's hot most of the time. So they're the whole farm just screams 100%. And I want to go to hydro because I want to kill a lot of the noise, or I want to keep my miners cooler because I want to keep the efficiency at a better rate. You know, I want to keep that efficiency at, let's say, 20 watts a terahash or whatever it is that you're trying to target. You can do that of hydro a lot better than you can do that of air. So that's one of the big benefits of hydro. If you build out your hydro farm correctly, meaning that you have 2 dry towers, or you have a wet tower, you have plenty of water. If you build out your hydro correctly, you have great firmware installed on it, you have proper settings set up for those firmware, every profile switching between faster and slower depending on the temperature on the chips. If you have all of that set up, you can hit your target efficiency just 24/7 all year long. It doesn't matter how hot it's going to get outside. It doesn't matter if outside it's 100 degrees or 110. You can still handle all of that. Your farm will run just fine. So you can do that, and we can help you set that up here at Crypto LLC. So if you're thinking about maybe a Texas farm or Arizona or you know, anywhere down there, New Mexico, or maybe you're thinking about setting up a farm somewhere in the desert, you know, somewhere like in UAE or Saudi Arabia or somewhere down there, Middle East area. It's really hot over there, and you're thinking, okay, the only option I have is to go with hydro. We can do that as well. So contact us at cryptollc.org. And that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys like it. And until next time, goodbye.